Hi there, my name is Tyrant44, and in this video I'm showing off this fast and compact multi-floor bubble elevator that I designed. So with this design, you can go from any floor to any floor. At the moment I'm at floor 1, let's say I want to go to floor 5, that button, and in a matter of seconds, now I'm at floor 5. Let's say I want to go to floor 12, that button. And it's pretty fast. Now I want to go back to, let's say, floor 4. Boom. And it's pretty compact. The redstone fits in a space that's 4 blocks deep, and then the width is the number of floors divided by 2, plus 3 blocks for the elevator shaft. This means that you can install it in buildings without really adding much bulk to the building. In this case, I added 7 floors and a rooftop, and the entire elevator shaft just fits inside this column right here. And the elevator shaft can either be centered between the buttons, or off to the side. And then multiple floor spacings are possible, so this design has a floor spacing of 6 blocks, and this one has a floor spacing of 4 blocks. So how this works is that the elevator shaft has this big line of sticky pistons connected to fence gates, and then when you hit a button, it's going to retract those sticky pistons, and then water sources will fill in from these waterlogged stairs on the side. And then there's obviously soul sand down below, making a bubble column. And when you hit a lower floor, it'll push those fence gates back into place, which removes the water, and then you can fall right down to the floor that you were aiming for. So this design uses wall segments to send an instant signal down. When you hit a button, briefly flips down the trapdoor, which changes that wall segment, which can be detected by an observer at the bottom. And then at the bottom, a sticky piston will briefly pull a soul sand block out of place. And that briefly deactivates a bubble column, which can be detected by an observer at the target floor. Also, the reason I use bubble columns is because they can send a signal up instantly, and they don't connect to the walls. If you were to use observers or torch towers, there will be more delay the higher up you go. Now what makes this design so compact is that you can handle 2 floors per wallstone segment, and it does this by differentiating between wood and stone buttons. If you didn't know, when you press wood buttons, they produce a slightly longer pulse than when you press stone or blackstone buttons. And this circuit here down at the bottom separates the pulses. Hitting the stone button causes that back piston to retract, while hitting the wood button causes the front piston to retract. Also, in order to make this work, you need the bubble columns for the lower floors to be closer to the elevator shaft. So in order to keep the numbers in sequential order, I have this circuit down below that wraps the signal from floors 1 and 2 down to these pistons, and then from 5 and 6 over to these 2 pistons over here. But if you have the elevator shaft off to the side like this design, you don't need to worry about wrapping any of the signals around. So when the bubble column triggers the observer at the target floor, it will then trigger 2 observer chains, one going down and then one going up, and those are on either side of the elevator shaft here. And basically what those observer chains do is they tell every piston below the target floor to retract, which creates the bubble column, and every piston above the target floor to extend, removing the bubble column. Now with different floor spacings, the redstone is going to look a bit different. So this is what it looks like with a spacing of 4, spacing of 5, 6, 7, and then 8 is a lot like 2 4s stacked on top of each other, and then 9 would be like a 4 and a 5, and so on and so forth. Also, these note blocks here are just acting as triggers where the bubble columns would be. You'll also notice that the observer chains have a mix of observers and fence gates, and this is because fence gates are the only blocks that can be triggered and observed, connect to walls, which is important for the wallstone, and don't carry a signal, which would otherwise close these fence gates here, which would not be good. And then they also speed up the signal going up the observer chain. However, on the observer chain going down, you'll notice that the fence gates are placed not quite as frequently as they could be. And this is because a little bit of extra delay is needed for each module to fill in water sources before the module below it activates. Otherwise, the water sources have to fill in from the bottom, and this actually slows down the bubble column as you're going up. So basically, you need at least 3 observers between each of these trigger points. Also, these are all made for the buttons being off to the right side of the elevator shaft. If you want to center the elevator shaft or put the buttons off to the left side, then all of the redstone will be flipped. And if you do center the elevator shaft, you'll notice that the redstone changes a little bit once the bubble column trigger points flip from one side to the other side. Ultimately, you might need to improvise a bit to make the redstone fit your specific build. Anyway, the world download is down in the description. All I ask is that you leave a like on the video if you want to use the design, or if you enjoyed the video, and subscribe if you want to see more Redstone content. Thanks!